Welcome to Fred's Footy Fest, and today we will be looking at round 7 of the NRL Premiership. So to kick us off is tonight's clash between the Dolphins and the Rabbitohs. Now last week the Dolphins managed to pull off a great win against the Cowboys, whereas the Rabbitohs smashed the Bulldogs. So I think this one might be a close one tonight. However, I think Rabbitohs just have the upper hand, so I think I'll tip them. But honestly, I think I might say, I'm going to say 12 points, because when they played Cowboys last week, Cowboys weren't at full strength, and they seemed to play a bit rusty. Whereas the Rabbitohs, they easily flogged the Bulldogs, so I think they should win pretty comfortably against the Dolphins. Friday, 14th April, 6 o'clock is a clash between the Sharks and the Roosters. Now, Sharks have some forwards out for this one, whereas the Roosters have Tedesco coming back into the team. So I think the Roosters should get the win here. However, I wouldn't write the Sharks off, seeing as Nico Hines is still in good form. 8 o'clock Friday night, Four Pines Park, it's Battle of Brookvale, and it's Manly and the Storm. Manly were flogged by the Penrith Panthers last week, and I think they're going to get smacked up by Melbourne as well. So I think I'll have to tip the Storm. Even though Cameron Munster will be playing at fullback because Nick Meaney is injured, I think they'll still carve up the Melbourne Storm. Saturday at 3 o'clock is a clash between the Warriors and the Cowboys. Now for this clash, Wade Egan and Tamari Martin will be out for this one. So I think this is easy to say that the Cowboys will win. And the Cowboys, by the looks of it, are pretty well at full strength. They have Murray Taulagi and Jeremiah Nanai back in the team. So I think they'll destroy the Warriors. 5:30 is a clash between the Newcastle Knights and the Penrith Panthers. Now the Knights managed to beat the Warriors last week. Pretty big upset. Whereas the Panthers flogged Manly. They're still going to remain a good side this year, the Panthers, and I think they'll be good enough to beat the Knights. Moving on, 7:35, Cbus Stadium is a clash between the Titans and the Broncos. Now the Titans got a 2-point win against the Dragons last week. Titans and Dragons usually have a close game, but the Titans were the winners in the end. Whereas the Broncos, big upset, losing to the Raiders last week, first loss of the season. I think the Broncos will bounce back from this one. I think they're still going to be finals contenders and remain in the top 4. Sunday at 2 o'clock is a clash between the Raiders and the Dragons. Now, the Raiders are going to be missing out on Jordan Rapana for this week due to that massive injury last week. Whereas the Dragons, they lost to the Titans last week. So I think the Raiders should win this one because they got an upset against the Broncos, who everyone would expect them to be a top side this year. But they managed to stay strong and beat them in the end. So I think the Raiders should win this one. And the last game to wrap up this week is a clash between the Eels and the Bulldogs. Now, last week, the Eels got a win against the Tigers on Easter Monday by a small margin of 6 points. However, the Bulldogs were thrashed by the Rabbitohs, and for this clash, they will be without Viliami Kikau, which is a very big loss, and Josh Adokar, which is also a massive loss. They've lost speed and strength in their team. So I think the Eels should win this really comfortably. And that's my tips for this week. Tune in next week for some more footy. And I'll show you who's playing. Rabbitohs and Panthers. That'll be a cracker of a match. Eels will play the Broncos. It may be pretty close. And the Dolphins will play the Titans. Another Queensland Derby match. Melbourne will play the Warriors. And the Roosters will play the Dragons. Anzac Day. And the Raiders will have the bye. Tune in next week. Bye.